Još se ništa ne zna, released sometime in 1993, is Baja's favorite album he ever worked on. While it's not his first album, that would actually go to Nedam Krajine, released in 1991, it's his first Superton release. It's important to note that not only every song has its own music video, but it's also a good foot in the door if you want to get into TurboFolk. The contents of the album is essentially a sample platter of common topics that TurboFolk covers. It's also cheap to get physically, but if you don't like collecting physical tapes like the heathen you are, you can also buy it remastered on iTunes. Or you can stream it on DRM-oriented Spotify. Why would you do that? Anyways, for these reasons, it's the first album I got digitally and physically as well. The orchestra featured is Superton powerhouse Pravoslavci, and it also features... Am I reading this right? Brano Trifkovic of the Pope Hates the Serbs fame? As backing vocals? No way! There's also Bori Chorbi, I think is his name. I hope I'm pronouncing that right. He's the old guy that's featured in Chuti Chuti Ujko. As with many albums with Orkestar Pravoslavci, the MIDI, well, okay, I'm gonna have to describe this to normies, so people who love TurboFolk, forgive me for saying this, but it sounds like shit. The MIDIs are, pretty dated, they haven't aged all that well, but you know, I have a soft spot for this. Hell, I listen to Limp Bizkit and 100 Gex, and you Americans, my fellow Americans, you know how, cringe that is. Other than the dated MIDI, it does also blend new and old sounds. You'll still hear accordion and drum machine. Wait a minute, drum machines aren't... Why did I say that? Hell, it's got a gusle in it, which also, depending on what album you're into, does make an appearance in certain TurboFolk albums. That made no sense, didn't it? Now, since I've got that background out of the way, I'm going to show you what my tape looks like. Okay, so before we get into the actual tape thing, I just want to say, if your version looks different from the one on Discogs and different from my version, head to discogs.com and document your version. Remember, archive, archive, archive. Now, on to the actual review. So, my cover is kind of faded, but it's not color faded per se. I think it's just the print job, because if you look at the track listings in the back, the black is still very much vibrant. Like with most copies of this tape, it does feature a crossed out credit left on there by mistake. I know that there is, I think, only one copy so far that's been documented that doesn't have this error, which is interesting. I actually don't know what it says, but here's a scan of my album. You can also find it on discogs.com, and maybe you can make out the words for yourself. If you guys can, let me know in the comments below. As for the tape itself, it's a translucent black. It's kind of strange because it uses the old Superton logo, but in monochrome, so you can't really read off of it. It also does have an A and B marker, just so that I guess whoever is mastering it doesn't get confused. I'm sure stock tapes like these were the most convenient to use at times. Maybe this is actually on my other cassettes. I'll have to double check. As for tape quality, it's fine. It just needs a little bit of equalization and maybe a little bit of noise reduction. But essentially, it's fine. When I activate the Mega Bass, it sounds a lot more clearer, but definitely needs a little bit of work. It's not a deal breaker, but it's something to look out for. And I think that's all there is to say about my copy of the tape. Again, by the time I am finished filming this, you'll actually see these on Discogs. If you go on the Discord, you'll actually already know my identity there, but I really don't think it's hard to find out who I am on that site. Alright, that's all I have to say about my tape. On to the conclusion. As this video draws to a close, I'm going to leave you with this. Who is Novak? Now, I'm going to propose two theories. Theory number one, the song is literal. Novak is a guy who uses the mortar on the battlefield, and his mom requested that Baja make a song for him. And Baja obliged. Seems pretty straightforward. How about theory two? Well, it's kind of a crackpot theory, but hear me out. This is about Baja's brother. Let me lay out the evidence for you. According to Grahovo.net, Baja Baja had a brother who was sent to Croatia while Baja didn't do any military service. This is apparently due to having one kidney and, well, I mean, I guess I can believe that. My grandpa was kicked out of the army for a really weird reason too. Anyways, so what was Baja's brother's name? Novo. Novo, Novak. Kinda similar, right? Oh, and here's this. Here is the supposed Novak. Computer enhance. Oh, and now pull up a good angle of the Knindža's face. Perfect. Now take a look. Faces look pretty similar, right? And with this, the lyrics change. It's not about some random guy on the battlefield and Duke Momchilo, right? He's hyping up his brother, letting Momchilo know that his fellow Chetniks have arrived to defend the fatherland. Pretty convincing theory, right? Even though I propose this theory, this can actually be debunked quite easily. For starters, I'm not even sure if Gravo.net is a valid source. They don't really list anything, they don't list any official interviews or anything. It's all just, dude, just trust me. Moreover, let's take another look at Novak. Sure, the Knindža and Novak have similar features, but it's really just mostly in the cheeks and maybe the smile. But they're different enough to the point where they don't look related, I think. So I think theory 1 holds a lot more ground than my proposed theory 2.
But hey, that's just a theory. Okay.
Nonetheless, I hope Novo and Novak made it out there alive. War is taxing on people. And that's all I have to say for this tape. Tune in next time for Lepimicha Srbima Zasva Vremena.